Hi guys, this is Carissa from the Dragon's Gem, and this is going to be a tutorial on how to make your own earring wires. We're going to be going over two different styles, plain fish hooks and French ear wires, which have the decorative coil on the column. I do not have any copper beads to put on it, so I'm going to be making mine without the bead. You can add the bead to yours if you want, and I'll discuss how to do that when we get there. Tools today are going to be just a scrap piece of 26 gauge wire, 5 inches of copper, 20 gauge dead soft is what I have. If you have half hard, that'll work better because you want firmer wire for your earring hooks. And I'm going to be work hardening mine to get that hardness out of them, since all I have is the dead soft. Bench block, jeweler's hammer. I believe this is a Whammer brand. Nylon jaw pliers, 6-step bail making pliers, flush cutters, and flat jaw pliers. There should be links to all of my tools and materials in the details below the video. They are Amazon affiliate links. If you purchase, I do get a small percentage of the sale. Also in the description below, check out my Instagram, Etsy, Pinterest, and Facebook. Like, follow, subscribe on all the social media channels to help support me. And let's get into how to making these wires. We are going to start with the 5-inch piece of 20 gauge half hard or 20 gauge dead soft copper wire and find the center by folding the two tips together. Keep this as even as you can and just very gently squeeze the wire together. And then if you need to, I always like to hold it in my nylon jaw pliers so I don't damage it. And then I'll just very gently squeeze this end closed, working my way towards the end. And this tip, this last little bit right here that we're working with, if it gets a bit damaged from the pliers, that's okay, because it's going to be trimmed off. And mine, when I squeeze it, my wires keep twisting, so I'm going to move that to a different spot in the pliers and hope that it helps, and it's not. Let me choke up on that. Squeeze, squeeze. It's about as good as I'm going to get it. I'm going to hold at the end right here, the bit that we're going to be cutting off, and now I'm going to straighten this wire with my nylon jaw tools, nylon jaw pliers. Doing this will help work harden the wire so that it's not so soft. We want it to be firmer so that it doesn't get easily bent and misshapen in our ears. So I'm just doing this a few times to help work harden it. We're going to do more to work harden it as we go along. Again, if this end right here, whoops, I'm off camera, right here. So if this little end gets mangled, that's okay. We're going to be cutting it off at the end. Take your 6-step pliers. You're going to use the largest one, or you can use something you've got laying around. You can use a pen as a mandrel, just whatever size you want the earring hook to be when it's going through your ear. Like this one is pre-made. I got it from a store. It is a very small one. Don't care for it. It feels like it wants to fall out of my ear when I wear it, so I like to make a bit bigger hoops. To me, it feels like it just gives it more balance when it hangs in my ear. I'm going to be going in about 1 inch from this tip and placing that in my pliers. And then again, I'm going to pull the tips together. I'm doing it around the largest one here and just bending it down until those basically touch. And this is kind of mangled, so I'm going to straighten this out real quick because I do want to keep these as even as possible. And see, if I hold them down, this one's just out kind of further, so I'm just going to pull it in a little bit. And if it doesn't want to do what you want, unbend it. That's okay. We'll unbend it. We will hold on to this again. Straighten this out one more time. I'm going to use my fingers a bit just to make sure that I've got a nice straight length of wire. Okay, one more time. I'm coming in about 1 inch. Making sure that this is nice and even and flat, and I'm going to just pull it down and squish it around until they're basically touching. This becomes the back of my earrings, and I'm just going to come up and make a little bend, and that is probably about not quite 1/2 inch up. It just depends on how long you like the backs of your earrings to be. So we'll make the coil on this one, and to do that you're just going to take some of your 20 gauge wire and this 26 scrap, and you're going to make roughly 16 coils. So let's see, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I made 16. I squish them together, and I'm going to twist. I'm pinching down on the wire as I twist it to make sure it's tight, and then I'm compressing it. Then I'm going to slide that off. Snip that length off, snip this little tail right here off. And this is a matter of preference. You can make these as long or as short as you want. I'm just going to do 2 little short ones. So I'm going to take and divide this roughly in half. You can count out the coils, or you can just kind of get a feel for it. And I'm just very gently working my fingernail in the tip there. See how my fingernail is just basically piercing that tip? So I'm doing that. Okay. What's going on? Okay, sorry, my screensaver went on. Anyway, in this little crease that we made with our fingernail, I'm going to come in with my flush cutters right there and just snip. And now I've got those two pieces. Wrong one, this one. So if you'll notice, we've got the general shape down. Take this little earring back off so it's easier to see. We've got the general shape down for the earring hook for the back, and then this decorative post. You can leave yours hanging straight down if you like. That is a style option. That's what I've done with these ones here. Or you can do like these and go ahead and just bend them out slightly. You can do it with your fingers, or you can get your pliers, get exactly where you want it to be. And I tend to try to line up stuff with this bend. And just very gently make a bend. Let's see, what kind of angle is this? This is not quite a 45-degree angle. Actually, yeah, it is about a 45-degree angle. If you can see on this line right here, this is about a 45-degree angle line. So yeah, you're making about a 45-degree angle there. And now we're going to go ahead and separate these out. This mangled, chewed up end that we've been working with, we're just going to snip that off. And when you cut that, make sure that the flat side of your flush cutters are against the wire. You don't want it to be like this, otherwise you're going to have way more jagged edges to file off when we're done. So now we take the little coil that we made and slide it right over this, right over that post. And we're going to take the second coil and slide it down this post. You can see that this gives you a lot of room if you like to make longer earring hooks in the back. If you want them to come down longer, you can. You just would change how far in you made this first bend on the step. You might come in 1.5 inches instead of 1 inch. I'm going to squish the little edges of my coil real quick just to make sure that they're not wanting to stick out and scratch. Not that they're really going to have anything to scratch, but it's good habit to get into when you're working with wire anyway, just to make sure that you always are tidying up your work and don't leave ends that are going to cause irritation for people's skin or get stuck in their hair. So now that I have these wires on, I'm going to take the smallest of my bail making pliers, the smallest step of my bail pliers, and I'm just going to hold it right up against that wire. I'm going to hold it down a little bit from the wire, and I'm going to bring that wire around so that we're like this. That's how I want to do it. It depends on your preference if you want to have your hook going to the back like that, or if you want it to be curled to the front like this. Really his preference. I'm going to undo this actually, because I do not like it. And I'm going to actually hold this with these bail pliers, that way I don't pull that out of shape too badly. Just gonna move that up out of the way. Pull out the kinks from that. Alright, wires back down. I'm going to put the bend back in there. Pulling that back down. And I want to make this more of like a nice shaped hook, which means I'm going to bend this to the side some. Now I'm going to take my small bail making pliers and wrap this around so that I have this shape here. I'm going to take my flush cutters with the flat side in towards that hook, or towards that circle, and I'm just snipping right on the inside so that it's going to have a flush connection right against the base of the wire. And I'm pulling that out a little bit so I can get my pliers in there better. This is one of these things that it's easier to do than it is to film. And then I'm just going to flatten that right back down with my flat nose pliers. And now you can see we've got that nice hook. And then if I wanted to attach earrings to this, all I would do is open this up just like a jump ring, slide my earring on, like if this was the earring, just slide that on. And just close it back up like a jump ring. Do that with this one. Again, I don't like what I've done here. I'm undoing this and I'm bracing my coil right here so that I can't horribly damage it. And I'm sorry, my heater kicked on and it's kind of loud. Make sure that I get my bend in the wire to match up correctly. So I'm just going to put these back together real quick. And I can see that I have gotten something bent out of shape. So I'm just going to very quickly put these back around that bail together. And somehow this is a problem that's happened. If you can see that they're uneven like that. So I'm going to take the wire that I have not done stuff with yet and just bend this long side in a little. I'm going to pull this out, squish those together, pull that one in, push them in. You're just making minor adjustments until you can get that wire to be matchy-matchy. You want them to be the same. So now that I've got the wires lining up fairly well right here, I'm going to make the bend right here. Which my coil was about right where I needed that bend to be. So I'm just going to pull right like that. Do I have the same angle? Again, we're shooting for around a 45-degree angle. My bend could probably be up just slightly higher, so we'll go ahead and do that. And slide my coil up. I am fairly happy with how that is matching up now. As you can see, the bend is more or less the same now. So now I'm going to recreate this loop down here at the bottom, which we did by bending the wire towards the back of the loop slightly, and then getting our smallest setting on the bail making pliers, and you grasp it and bring your tail around and make that little loop there. And then we come in with our flush side and trim just inside so that we can get the loop to close on a nice little circle. So now I've got this pair of earring hooks, which are more or less equal. People aren't going to notice it terribly if they're not. But what I can always do, since they haven't been hammered yet, I can still adjust them fairly easily, and I'll wrap them back around that largest bail setting. And just kind of pull them snug. And this one is longer, so I'm going to take the top earring and push it up. And then what I need to do is pull this edge so that I'm making the wire tighter around the hook and taking the slack up on that side. And it can be kind of tricky. Now, to work harden these just a little bit, I am going to not hammer where I've made that coil. And in fact, I'm going to hold it so that that coil isn't even on the block when I hammer. Otherwise, I risk flattening and breaking the coil. And I just want to hammer on this top loop right up here to make this firm so that it gets some sort of resistance when it bends. And I'm going to flip it over. That way I keep things even, because when I lay these on the table, I want them to lay flat. I don't want them to have weird twists. And I'm just pressing because I don't want to mess with that. You can go a little bit with the metal side and flatten some of this. And I normally do that just right along the outside curve. It gives it some decoration as well as work hardens it. So now when I pull that hook, it's getting resistance and it's not wanting to bend out of shape as easy. You can also do the work hardening bit before you put the coils on while this is all still straight. And then you could put the coil on at the end and curl it, and that would probably be better than what I've done. You would have less risk of damaging your ear wire. You also are trying to avoid hammering the tip right here because that's the part that goes in your ear. And if you hammer it flat, it causes more edges and angles that can catch on your skin while you put it in. Make sure I got both sides. And now I have 2 earring hooks that have spread a little bit while being hammered. So again, you're just needing to do your finishing touches of tweaking and adjusting them so that they match. You can do it around the mandrel if you want, or you can do it in hand like this, just whatever you're comfortable with. Now, because I've work hardened it, it doesn't want to take the bend that I'm trying to put in there so gently, which means I'm having to bend a little bit more than I would like to get it to take the correction that's needed. And if you don't like your wires that close in, you can always hold it on there and just open them up a little bit too. Just make them however is comfortable for you. And then the edges here that we've cut, we're going to come in with our cut burr, or you can use a nail file. I like my cut burr. It just makes things easy. I just stick it right on there, rotate it around a few times, and the little blades inside that metal cup just file down and polish the edges of the earring wires. And it's not a super visible difference, but it feels different in my ears. That's how you do those. And then if you wanted to do this pair right here, from this step, all you do is take your smallest steading, you're folding it up like that. And now I am going to clip, I think I'm going to make them a little bit lower. I'm sorry, I can't make up my mind on the stuff that I'm doing. But that's okay, because it gives you a chance to see how I fix things that I don't like when I'm doing this process. And I'm just making sure that my wires are even. Okay. Take these again. I'm going to go just a wee bit longer. It's not even a huge difference, but it'll make me happy. And then I'm going to clip that extra right there. And then I'm going to come in here with my mandrel again. And I'm just tightening that down. My loops aren't exactly the same. And that's because when you close these, anything on the inside gets gripped first and the outside gets loose because it doesn't pinch, it scissors. So the things closer inside get gripped first, where the stuff on the outside just doesn't get grabbed. And that can cause things to line up weird when you're doing stuff. So I'm just going to come in from the opposite side and cinch that down just a little bit more so that I can get them more even. And now my holes pretty much line up now. And just like the other ones, I'm going to bend this end right there and snip off that tip. I'm going to smooth my ends down with this cut burr. And then same thing I did with these ones, I can work harden them. On this one, I'm just being careful not to get the end that goes in my ear. I can work harden the whole thing. Put that in my ear and see how it feels. If I can find my ear hole. I hate when my holes close up and I can't figure out where they are. There we go. All right. So that one looked in my ear, and it feels long enough. It feels like it's going to be comfortable, like it's not going to fall out. But even if I were concerned about it falling out, I can always use an earring back like this and just put that on. But for my ears, these fit fine. It's just compared to these others, they are smaller. It's your own personal preference, whatever feels right to you. You can always make the tail end longer or shorter, whatever you need. I just like to give them a few extra taps to make sure that they're flat and in place. And that's how I make ear wires. So those are the 3 varieties that I make. The little short hooked ones, the longer, more delicate, dangly ones, and then the French wire ones, which if I had had the balls, if I had had the copper beads needed to go on these, I think they're like 2mm maybe, but I would have threaded the wire on. I would thread the coil on, then thread the bead on, and then made my loop so it closed up right underneath the bead. And that's it. So thanks for watching, and I hope you found this tutorial informative. Check my description down below for links to my social media. It really helps a lot to have people follow me on social media. If you like an artist and you want to support them, that is the cheapest, easiest way that you can do it, is just to go and follow them, like, subscribe, comment on all of their social media platforms. It helps with their stats, and I'd appreciate it if you followed me. So check out my Pinterest, my Facebook, my Etsy, and whatever else I have linked down there. There should be product links to all of the items that I was working with here today if you do need to buy something. They are Amazon affiliate links, and a very small percentage of what you spend will be given to me by Amazon. That's all. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a great one. Tag me in your work and show me what you've done. Bye.